the supernatural organism, we have this sort of remote principle, which is grace, and it works in throughout all of our faculties, and it even works throughout the supernatural society of the church, and even has certain effects on such things as the natural society, the political society, where grace is going to flow over into there. Obviously, not changing its end to, well, not changing its species into something supernatural, because that'd be like a pseudo supernaturalism, but rather it sort of redirects it to a different end, retaining the same formal object, kind of like how Christian chastity retains the same sort of species as natural chastity. It's just under a higher light with a better source, and then ordered to a better object, ordered to a better end, although with the same formal object. It doesn't change species, but you have grace working throughout all of the sort of aspects of us in that way. And on the other hand, when it comes to naturalism is the same way. So naturalism works itself out. That is, the denial of the supernatural order works itself out into all of our various faculties. And he has this just fantastic quote on this. So he says, "Indeed, just as naturalism represents the denial of our elevation to the supernatural order, and rationalism the denial of revelation, so does liberalism represent the denial of the duty to accept divine revelation, either for the individual or at least for the society. And thus, liberalism, which holds that faith is not necessary for salvation, substitutes itself for Christian obedience, just as rationalism substitutes itself for faith. Similarly, humanitarianism, that is, the love of humanity without any relation to subjection to God, substitutes itself for charity, by which we love our neighbors for God's sake. Nay, in humanitarianism, the order of charity is inverted. For as the defenders say, we must reveal all human opinions, even if they are contrary to the word of God, which is to scorn God himself. Hence, according to the church, this human respect, which is often called modesty, represents the falsest form of humility. The church, thus, liberalism and humanitarianism are false forms of charity, mere imitations, like glass beads in comparison to a real diamond. Similarly, in humanitarianism, the desire for earthly felicity is substituted for the hope of heavenly beatitude. Likewise, as regards our sense, desires, sensualism, effeminacy, and the legitimacy of divorce are substituted for mortification, chastity, patience, and Christian fortitude. Finally, as regards society as a whole, socialism is subjected for the reign of God in society and for Christian justice, as though society itself, not God, had established the particular rights and duties regarding familial and social life, and as though man's end were not heavenly beatitude, but rather a future earthly city. Hence, socialists speak of society with a mystical lift in their voices, as though they were speaking of God, for in their eyes, society is indeed God in the very process of his self-becoming. And he has that fantastic quote, and then he has this chart where he kind of lays it all out for us. So we see right here, so we have naturalism on this side, grace on this side, rationalism substitutes itself for faith, liberalism and humanitarianism substitute itself for charity, hope, and obedience, sensualism for chastity and mortification, and socialism for the reign of God in society. We just have this sort of this is really why you get St. Pius X calling something like modernism, which is trying to take naturalism and synthesize with the Christian faith. It's calling it the synthesis of all heresies, because every little aspect of the effects of grace are being given counterfeits, and all of these counterfeits surround the one satanic premise. And the satanic premise is that we will not submit to God and only submit to ourselves. It wants complete autonomy. That's why all of this stuff is so dangerous. That's why all this naturalism stuff is just so deadly, and that's why it's completely wiped out any sort of sliver of rationality, no pun intended, any sliver of rationality within our society, because people are falling for this naturalism junk and not for a proper view of the supernatural order.